Many communities have taken action to reduce urban heat islands, which is a prime manifestation. Heat islands are the prime manifestation of climate change in cities, and many communities have taken action to reduce the urban heat islands using five main strategies, that is increasing tree and vegetative cover, installing green roofs, installing cool, mainly reflective roofs, using cool pavements, utilizing smart growth practices. You can see from this area that is in northwest Dallas, which is in US, which is predominantly characterized by industrial and warehousing. So this industrial and warehouse area, rather light industrial and warehouse area, has residential areas which have tree cover, less paving and roof surfaces, resulting in lower surface temperatures. So precautions have been taken in order to reduce the surface temperatures in this area. How does cooler roof or shady trees or cooler pavements, how does it result result in lowering of the carbon dioxide levels? You can see from this methodology. With cooler roofs and shady trees, the requirement for thermal comfort reduces. That means reduction of air conditioning, use of air conditioners. And the cooler roofs, cooler pavements, vegetated areas helps in reducing outdoor temperatures, which also contributes to thermal comfort, and therefore it also contributes to reduction in the use of air conditioners. The moment the air conditioners use reduces, that means there is a reduction in the demand of energy, and therefore the generation reduces since less energy is consumed, which means lower carbon dioxide levels, nitrous oxide levels, and levels of other compounds. Now, the reduction in the outdoor temperatures also reduces the emissions and thus ultimately the carbon dioxide levels reduce. Now let us come to the case studies, how cities have achieved reduction in carbon dioxide. But one point which I wanted to mention here is that though we know what has to be done, various cities have achieved the benefits, the tangible benefits that I was saying in terms of reduction in emissions, reducing the heat, and this is done through phased targets. Low carbon development or all the low carbon initiatives cannot be achieved in a day, and so therefore phased targets are necessary, which the cities have adopted, various cities have adopted, and they have become good practices. So now let us see some of the good practices. So Shanghai in China, which is the biggest global financial hub of China with a population of 24 million, the challenges were for this city was that industry and power sectors dominated the carbon dioxide emissions per capita, and you can see from this bar chart the trends of the energy consumption and energy related carbon dioxide emissions in Shanghai from 2000 to 2030 estimated without any intervention. So thus, in the context of such a critical situation, Shanghai worked out their strategies, and in terms of coordinated policies for carbon emission reduction and abatement of air pollutants, in terms of provision of market incentives and the creation of better land use efficiency, green spaces were planned along the Huangpu River, and the implementation of new bicycle and carpooling mobile apps to reduce the number of vehicles on the road. Next, we go to Singapore, which is located southeast coast of mainland China and the northern edge of Hong Kong, with a population of 5.7 million. And Singapore's strategy is that Singapore is a city in the park. So that shows the approach which Singapore has in terms of its development pattern. The challenges of Singapore was in terms of water supply, climate change and transport. The strategies pertaining to water supply included adoption of a 4-tap strategy, which is about improving the water catchment of reservoirs, recycling of water and desalination. You can see from this figure the 4-tap strategy. Singapore is challenged by extreme weather conditions, and to combat the heat stress, the city has adopted a comprehensive tree planting and greenery program. That is, I was mentioning too about the city in a park or the vision of a garden city. And the streetscape greenery master plan for the entire road network, including coastal treatment and forest treatment, is also put forth. all this to the other strategies, there's also treatments which are done to the buildings in terms of rooftop gardens, greenery walls or green walls, thermally friendly building materials that improve ventilation and wind and promote the wind tunnel effect. Apart from that, awareness programs in order to make the community more climate responsive, education and awareness creation is done on implications of global warming through school projects, seminars, exhibitions, simulation of energy efficient behavior and practices amongst the general public, educate the public of technologies or actions for energy savings. London also was plagued with various challenges, and the challenges pertained to reduction of the carbon emissions. So the city came up with a zero carbon ambition. No, the city came up with a zero carbon plan, a phased out plan wherein in 2016 zero carbon new homes were planned. In 2017, central transport emissions surcharge was applied. In 2018, minimum energy efficiency performance standards for all rented properties was formulated or was planned to be formulated. 2019, all new buildings were planned to be zero carbon, along with ultra low emission zone, along with declaration of central London as the ultra low emission zone or ULEZ. Targets for the future, targets for the various other decades include smart meter for every home, and by 2020, 40% of carbon dioxide reduction within 4 years, that is from 2018 to 2022. Expansion of ultra low emission zone, that is ULEZ, to inner London for light vehicles by 2021. Local zero emission zones to be identified by 2025, along with 15% of demand is proposed to be met by renewable and district energy by 2030, and the carbon dioxide reduction is planned from 2030. All heavy vehicles need to be fossil fuel free from 2030, and solar photovoltaic 100 megawatt solar photovoltaic installations have to be completed by 2030, and 2030 is a very significant year in the future for London, as it has also planned for citywide deployment of low carbon heating systems, for example heat pumps. By 2040, gas and electricity networks would reach zero carbon or would be zero carbon, and by 2050, 2 gigawatts of solar PV installations would be there, and also zero emissions is planned from all transport and buildings. So it is a phased reduction of carbon dioxide, that is 40% in the period from 2018 to 22, that is within 4 years due to all these initiatives, and 60% carbon dioxide reduction within a period of 4 years, that is from 2028 to 2032. So as you can see from this long-term perspective, how over a period of time, through planned initiatives or through proposed initiatives in various decades, London has planned to become a zero carbon emission city.